still have no face. We're having problems with the webcam, so sorry about that. Please, if you're watching this video, please do subscribe. It's gonna be a 6 or less minute video. In this video, we're gonna be talking how to positionally take over, and in this position, we're gonna be focusing on the pawns. In this position, we are playing against Ricardinho from Brazil. Ricardinho is rated 1358. And Ricardinho has played the English defense, a very well-known defense where you place your bishops Fi and Kero. So in this position, White has this huge center. He's taken this huge center, but the reason why White cannot break right away, if White goes at the wrong move, let's say by going here, for example, that might literally lose White the advantage. Right now, White is an advantage. It's a very minimal advantage, can be lost by just one move. The reason why White can move this here, because the bishop trades quickly, then trades in the center because the knight is also supporting in there. So after takes, you have this. Remember, all these pawns are a weakness. These pawns are taking over the center, but they're all a weakness because this knight defends this and this knight defends this and the bishop defends this. So you have this weakness alone. That weakness and this other weakness here can cost you the game, because if those 2 pawns are gone, your opponent is up 2 pawns. And as you can watch, or as you can see, sorry, most people, I'm sure, have counted the pawns. They can realize there has not been a trade of pawns. So in this position, we're going to be looking at when is it the right point to break this structure. When is the right point for you to say, you know what, it's time for me to push the A, the B, the C, the D, or the E pawn. Okay, so we go into it. In the next position, it's black to move. Black comes in with E5. So in this position now, you're thinking, should I take and leave a hole in this department where a bishop can come here and now have a good attack and x-ray to my rook, or am I going to move forward and leave this bishop alone? And the good idea in this position is to not trade, because if you trade, you're allowing this bishop to have leverage. Your opponent has risked his opportunity to get back into the game because he thinks that he's playing against an amateur. So in a position like this, whenever you come into a position where it either demands this or if it demands this, you must always evaluate what are my opponent's pawns doing. Sorry about this order. What are my opponent's pieces and pawns doing? These pieces, they're not really doing anything, they're not in the game, so that's not really interesting. So here we go, what? D5. D5, what does D5 do? D5 locks the position in. It locks the position in. It means that this long term, this bishop is going to be useless in the position. Long term, the bishop is going to be useless in the position. Okay, so the game continues. The opponent now lashes into the center. The opponent is furious. He's like, let's clear some ground. Can you en passant in this position? In this position, you have en passant. But not only do you have en passant, you also have the queen taking a pawn here for free and also attacking this defended rook, which you don't have to take right away. But later on, when you develop your bishop, you can take it after that, after the effect. Okay, so the position continues. We en passant. Our opponent tries to be smart. Obviously, he has to try to be smart to say, you know what, I understand you want to take this pawn. I'm not going to allow you to get another pawn. Instead, I am going to try to take your pawn, but also open up my bishop. This attacks this, and he's also going to bring his other pieces. This is going to come. This knight is going to come in, and he's going to try to attack this pawn. He's adding pressure on this pawn. This pawn is only defended twice. So if this knight ever moves, let's say to here, attacking this, the pawn can always come up and the bishop is always defending. So that's it. That's one idea that someone can evaluate and see. So White plays this. White plays b5. And why is b5 so why is b5 an instructional move? It's a very positional and instructional move because it's saying that if you take, I'm taking with this pawn, and not only am I undoubling my pawns, I'm also having a very strong structure defended by a good rook and a good queen. The queen is still facing this piece, and also these pawns are also as risk as any pawn this queen ever moves to the wrong square. The opponent pushes down, realizing that he doesn't want to risk me having a better structure. go after. What does this rook do? Again, we're talking about positional positions. What does this rook do? The rook is ensuring that whenever this knight moves, the queen is always supporting this a pawn. Whenever the knight moves, the push for the rook, the push here, we're basically saying this, we're evaluating that once anything moves, we have a chance to promote one of these pawns. That's the evaluation. This knight move is almost like a preparatory move. You're preparing for the future ahead, and that's what people must do in chess. When you think of a move, you might think of it in 3 moves. Like, after this rook move, what if my opponent moves a knight, moves something, am I still gonna have the urge, or am I still gonna have at least an advantage, or am I at least not gonna be losing? And in this position, you're preparing a push here later on when your opponent tries anything. Yeah, if you have a push, because you have a grip onto the center and on your opponent's side as well. And your opponent has a very useless bishop, and a very useless knight. So you're already on the upper hand. The game continues. The opponent castle is trying to get to safety for the king, but you say, okay, it's fine, I see that, I'm still gonna prepare. Now you don't want, in this move also it's a kind of preparing move, so I don't really need to explain this, but most people know that this move is to prevent the bishop from ever pinning this to the queen. So that's the main reason. The game continues. The bishop comes out. It's trying to be active, but it's not really active because it's attacking a pawn that is defended. So what is it really doing? And while you ask yourself, why is this pawn defended? Because after this knight moves anywhere, to be fair, in fact, you can only move in these 2 places, yes, or even here. Actually, this is actually an interesting move in this position. I do believe that the player played this move, which does make sense, because not only are you also attracting a take, after a take you still undouble, and you have a good triangle system, and that's a very good structure. Not only are you taking over the light squares, the dark squares will be yours indefinitely. The position goes, the knight goes in the center, which is a very good move. It stamps in and it shows that, okay, I actually have a good advantage. And not only that, I'm threatening a fork. You cannot take because you will lose your queen immediately. So the game continues. This takes. The queen comes out. It's trying to prevent the pawn push because the pawn is, of course, defended by that rook that we moved 3 moves back. 3 moves back. And counting those moves, we're looking at 1, 2, no, that's 1, 2, 3. Then here, this is when the rook moved on this move. So we're planning all this. Now we're on that move. And the important thing I also want to highlight about f4, the importance of f4 in a position is very important, especially if you're ever gonna play a position such as the Queen's Gambit or the English opening, something like that. f4 is an important point because f4 after takes, this bishop becomes a very beautiful bishop, because now you have a very weak pawn there. It's being attacked and can be attacked more, because now not only do I have f4, I have e5. e5 is gonna come in after takes. The queen is forced to take, then I can push down. You try to block, this one comes down. So there's a lot going on. You are thinking positionally. So f4 is a move that you must time well, and this position makes so much sense because at least after this you can make preparatory move to make sure that you grab this d pawn. The game continues and we play a4, f4 to break the position, because we see there's too much clutter. There's nothing really going on over the board. I can't maneuver my knights, I can't maneuver my bishops. f4 makes sense. We strike with f4 on the board. Our opponent does not take, and we ask ourselves, what is the next move in this position? If we're thinking positionally, you're like, okay, in this position maybe I could push, but after takes there's some idea of grabbing this knight. Obviously you can grab that knight, that's an idea, but also there's an idea of takes. Then after takes you can take the pawn here, and here white blundered in a way. White blundered because white did not realize that there's this move, even though after takes and takes, white still has the advantage because of course this rook is gonna help with the advancement of the pawns. But now you're also down in exchange. You're not down in material, but you're down in exchange. You understand? So now we go back. It was takes, but our opponent did not see it. Did not see this move. Clearly our opponent is not thinking positionally. Because if he thought positionally, he could have managed a draw. Then we did the right move, take the bishop, takes, we brought in our pawns, we brought in the knight, we trade, then now we bring in the pawns. And this is a very good positional thing. After they sacrifice, there's a push there. There's a push and there's an opener. On this opener, it's showing how the rook is restricted. The rook never had entry and the rook is restricted, and that's the main point of this video, to show you the importance of the pawns, because the pawns are the most important pieces in the whole game. If you maneuver your pawns carefully, they will definitely manifest. We have takes there. Now this rook has nowhere to go. It can't go here, it gets taken immediately. And not only that, I'm also threatening the knight, because after takes, I can now push this and promote. So now this is literally forced to try and find a place, but it has no place. So it loses itself on the corner. But now this is actually a beautiful thing. In this position, most people would only look at this position and be like, oh, okay, I'm actually gonna win a rook. No, you look at the position as different. Michael Tower once said, if you see a good move, look for a better move. In this position, you can see d6. d6, you're like, oh, I'm giving up this pawn, but guess what? I'm gonna win this, and after takes this, I'm going to get to a queen that you can take. But then I have so much positional control that I'm gonna have so much advantage. And white shows this advantage by this. After the check, which means nothing, the check, he moves to the side, the rook moves away, you move the pawn. In this position, I do agree that black should have actually been more aware. In this position, black should have literally left the rook to be taken, because that would have been a better move, because that kind of restrict. But then again, you're kind of looking at a position like this, and you're looking at this ever promoting later on, and this also coming in trying to remove the defense to the knight. Yeah, there's a lot going on there. You could literally lose the knight that you're really kind of hoping on. Okay, but we'll get back to the position. The rook moves. After the check, the rook moves. We get now 2 pawns. In this position, it's a designable position, and basically that's the end of the video, because as you can realize, we did promote not only 1 queen but to 2 queens. We had 2 queens promoted on the board, and that shows how beautiful it is, because a good pawn that is managed well can be promoted to a queen, and we had another queen, 3 queens promoted in 1 game, and that's showing you the power of the pawns. Hope you like this. Like, share and subscribe.